We continue our discussion on cricket and the cash flow issues which we understand have hampered Cricket West Indies in making scheduled payments to players. We are pleased to be joined by the Chief Executive Officer of Cricket West Indies, Johnny Grave. Johnny, welcome again to the SportsMax Zone. Good to have you as usual.
Good evening.
The issue of a cash crunch and its effect on Cricket West Indies. First of all, to what degree is that true at this time?
It's true that on last Friday we were due to disperse our sort of monthly salaries to players and staff, and we haven't yet done that. We're expecting to be able to process those payments from tomorrow onwards, so we're very hopeful that all of our players and staff will get their November pay this week.
So it's only for November that you have monies outstanding for the players?
Well, the players' remuneration is made up of several facets. So you've got predominantly their monthly salaries for those that are retained. You've obviously got their match fees, bonus monies, and allowances from when they're away from home. So what's dispersed at the end of the month is salaries, and that's the delayed payment that was, as I said, due to go out at the end of the month, and will be going out from tomorrow onwards.
Right, and you'd understand why I'd want to distill the information for the understanding of my viewers. So I hear you on the salaries for the retained players. You said something about bonuses and other entitlements. So am I correct in saying there's no issue with bonuses and other entitlements being late, that it is only the salary, or is it everything rolled into one for November?
Well, what we do is pay the salaries, so the contract values we play every month, and we play allowances, which is what players get when they're playing cricket, either home or away. We play always in advance. Match fees and bonuses are always paid approximately sort of 30 days to 60 days after the event. So it's the salaries in particular that were delayed, as I said, from the November pay.
Okay. We spoke to one player, senior player, recently in action in that series against Afghanistan, who shared that there was nothing for him since July. Is that an isolated case? Are there players within the setup, either male or female, or both men and women, who would not have seen anything since July from Cricket West Indies?
It depends. I mean, if they're uncontracted to either one of the territorial board franchises or to Cricket West Indies, then effectively they're on I guess the best way of describing it would be a play-to-pay arrangement. So obviously, only would they receive remuneration for us, match fees when they play. So if a player hadn't played and wasn't contracted to us at all, and they hadn't played since July, then it's quite likely that they wouldn't have been paid anything to date, other than obviously the CPL, which I'd imagine those players would have played in.
What if I told you that the player in question has been on active West Indies duties from July up till this point, but he says that there's been nothing since July?
So then I'd have to assume that the person that you're talking about doesn't have a contract with West Indies Cricket.
Is there any truth to reports that where the Secretariat is concerned, that the cash crunch issue has extended to not all payments being made at the time when staff expect it? Is that true?
Yes, it is. Yeah. So when I say that players and staff haven't been paid, that includes all staff. So not just employed staff here in Antigua, but umpires who are also on retainers, and contractors and consultants. So yeah, we haven't dispersed any of our monthly outgoings, including the franchise operational payments that were due at the end of November. And as I said, that's what we expect to be going out from tomorrow to not just the players, but to staff, to umpires, to administrators at franchise level, because every month we disperse a payment for the franchises in order for them to operate.
And just to make the point resound, Johnny, not to be facetious, you yourself haven't been paid either?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
All right. So
approximately all the local staff here in Antigua were paid last week on time. So it has affected all other staff members.
Yeah. In terms of the payment to the franchises, Well, we spoke to some of the Cricket Association bosses. Trinidad and Tobago said they had no issue with payment. There was no lateness. Everything was up to date. The Windwards said the same thing. But Barbados, unprompted, Conde Riley sent us a message yesterday. You were traveling, you may not have heard. He sent us a WhatsApp message saying that the payments were up to date up to October, but that he would have to dip into his own resources at the BCA to cover November. So that would mean that, of course, Conde is saying the right thing, that there's been no money for November yet and he'll have to cover until you put the money into the account.
Yeah, there's been no money from us since October. Obviously, most of the territorial board franchises do get resources and revenues from entities outside of us, so it does depend on their individual circumstances and cash flow as to whether they could meet any of their obligations without our funding.
What are the issues that at this go-round, Johnny, have hamstrung Cricket West Indies to the extent that it is having this crunch at this most crucial time of year, the Christmas period?
Yeah, it's a timing issue, effectively. As you can imagine, we've since a home tour against India, which ended at the end of August. We've had two women's tours. We had Australia come to the region, then the India women team who have just recently left. And we got the men's team playing out in India against Afghanistan. We just hosted our regional Super 50, and we've just had England arrive here in Antigua to take on our under-19. So we've got an awful lot of cricket going on at the moment throughout the Caribbean. So actually November, in particular because of that Super 50 Cup, but also those other matches and tournaments that I mentioned, is probably our most expensive month of any of the 12 months of the year.
But given our understanding of financing and finances, Johnny, one would have thought that when the administration took office, it would have looked down the road and seen these things happening. And as of course you said, November is always a busy month, and then make contingencies to tide the body over through this period so that you wouldn't be faced with this situation. Why did that mechanism not kick in this time?
Well, I'll say two things. One, on a longer term basis, we're taking a financial review, an independent financial review has been commissioned, and the findings of that and the recommendations are going to our Board of Directors meeting, which is taking place in St Martin on Thursday and Friday. So that will very much look at the structure of our organisation from a financial point of view and make a number of recommendations that I hope we can implement immediately. So that's the sort of the longer term view. I would say that the second sort of point is that we're in a unique position where our 7-year media rights deal ended at the end of August with the tour, the men's home tour against India. That 7-year agreement that we had in place is now up for renewal. So we are busy in the marketplace, in all markets all over the world, securing our new media rights agreements that we expect will be in place over the next few weeks, and we're doing those on a 5-year basis. So it's very much a timing issue. Clearly, in order to maximise the rights that our events are worth, we need to wait until the absolute last possible moment in each of the markets to make sure that we take to the Board of Directors a recommendation to sign media rights agreements, knowing that we've got the absolute maximum value. So that process was always going to be a fluid process, and it has taken slightly longer. The third issue that I think is relevant is in the last, probably in the last 6 to 7 months, we paid back an awful lot of debt. So we paid back in excess of probably $15 million worth of bank borrowing and debt. So we've reduced our financing costs significantly. This is a cash flow crisis. It's not a profit crisis or anything else. We just come off the back of an audited financial year where we made an $18 million profit, obviously with lucrative tours of England and India. So this is very much just a timing issue. It's hugely unfortunate. It's something obviously we've been planning and desperately trying to avoid. But unfortunately, the money that's just come into the organisation that allows us to meet those end-of-month payments from November has basically been a week delayed.
Hear you on that.
You talk about the November payments, right, being delayed, but what about the women's, the money that they are supposed to get from playing Australia and whatnot? I found out that they haven't been paid that as well.
No, the match fees, we try and always pay match fees about 30 days after the last game of any tour or series, but that's always a slightly fluid situation. So whilst that's always our intention, we keep the players as informed as we can be as to when match fees will be paid. But you're correct, the women haven't been paid for Australia yet.
Yeah. John O'Grave, a question here. Can you say if there's any disappointment from the Cricket West Indies standpoint in the franchises? Because my understanding was when the franchises started out, the initial momentum financially given by Cricket West Indies, they were encouraged to set up solid marketing forces in their individual franchises to fortify their financial viability. And there is the feeling that some of them haven't done that or done it as well as maybe Cricket West Indies would have wanted. Can you say if there's any disappointment from Cricket West Indies on that?
I think everyone would take collective responsibility to say that we need to, in every organisation, maximise our revenues, not just from the private sector, but also from public funding as well. And yeah, you're right. I think the original idea would have been that a higher percentage of the franchise's revenues would have come outside of Cricket West Indies resources and funding. But you know, I think we've got to acknowledge that the current economic climate within the Caribbean and across all our territories is not easy. So it's a change not just for them, but for us here at Cricket West Indies. And look, we're a non-profit organisation, so we're putting every dollar that we possibly can find into our cricket. You know, we've almost completed now the multi-million-dollar purchase of the Coolidge Cricket Ground in Antigua. You know, we made a big financial commitment over the last 2 years to have 4 18 tours and invest massively into that Windies B team and the emerging players, which has obviously just won the regional Super 50, to give our best and most talented young cricketers every opportunity to develop their skills and go on to represent West Indies. We fans are desperate for West Indies to do well, and all of our money and resources is pumped back into the system. So this is just an unfortunate and disappointing timing issue. You know, we've been working tirelessly to avoid this. We've communicated directly to the franchises, to Weeper, to the players, to umpires and to staff, informing them that we always knew this month was going to be a challenge because of the amount of cricket and because of the slight delay in our media right deals coming in. But as I said, you know, it's disappointing that it's taken a week too late for us to be able to meet those end of November payments. And I can assure you all we're working extremely hard to be able to bring forward the payments in December so that everyone can get paid before Christmas.
Yeah, and John O'Grave, judging by your tone and the manner in which you're answering the questions, I'm getting the feeling that you're not considering this a massive crisis. You're using terms like disappointing and working feverishly to sort things out. Not a massive crisis, this, and in the near future and foreseeable future, things will be worked out financially?
Yeah, look, I think we've got to restructure financially because we're coming at the end of this 7-year cycle. So once we've secured our new media rights deal, it will be hugely important that we restructure our business on the back of that. We'll then have much greater certainty of our revenues because our sponsorship revenue is very good. Our ICC revenue is strong, and there's pretty good foresight now for the next 4 years of ICC revenue. So we should be able to plan and structure Cricket West Indies moving forward. And yes, we want to maximise every dollar that goes into cricket, but we also, our strategic plan speaks to this very clearly. We want to end the 2023 cycle with at least $20 million in reserves. That will allow us to manage our cash flow much better on an annual basis. It will reduce our financing costs significantly and will just lead to greater efficiency. So it's all part of our strategic plan. But as I said, I'm confident that the media rights deals that we're going to conclude over the next few weeks will come in, and that we can ensure that moments like this are few and far between and certainly nothing that we want to make a common situation.
Just about a minute before we release you, Johnny, the issue of the media rights deal that you say will be concluded in a few weeks, is it not a fear from your perspective and certainly your colleagues at the leadership of CWI that perhaps this news of a cash flow issue could perhaps weaken your position at the negotiating table with the rights offers that are put by the other parties?
Yeah, look, I don't think so. I think, yes, I guess that could be a factor, but it's certainly one that we're going to be avoiding. I think West Indies cricket is still loved throughout the world. It's vibrant cricket. We're really confident that our product is still very good from a TV perspective, and certainly all the audience data and viewing figures that we have proves and demonstrates that. We've got some fantastic tours from a home point of view coming up over the next few years, both from the men's and women's side. And we're confident that our product's wanted by the world. We're at final stages in many markets. We're looking obviously to increase our media rights, not go flat or not even decrease them, which is happening. And we're having to, as I say, work very hard to ensure that we maximise not just what has all been traditional TV and linear, but make sure that our digital revenues, our radio rights and our clip rights and highlight rights are also being sold and marketed throughout the world.
Next week, Tuesday, Johnny, is December 10, 7 days from now. Are you confident that in a week's time, in 7 days' time, the issue of unpaid salaries would have been settled?
Yeah, as I said, I've had a receipt already in my inbox that says that we've got a significant payment coming tomorrow, which will allow us to instantly pay our staff and our contracted players, and we'll immediately make those disbursements to the 6 regional franchises. So I'm very confident that over the course of the next few days, depending on how long it takes to wire money into individual players or umpires or staff members' accounts, that everyone will get their November pay in the next few days.
Johnny Graves, CEO of Cricket West Indies, thank you very much for your time. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, guys.
Good.